Welcome to another Trad Reviews Live. I'm Stephen Heiner. With me, Alexander Krosick. It's fast and furious, Alexander. 3 reviews in
Three reviews.
a week.
The fourth one coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, we cannot keep up this pace, ladies and gentlemen. So we don't want to accustom you to it, but we just wanted to get started with a bang, especially because we're coming up on Holy Week. That's one thing where we're going to slow down. But secondly, Alexander and I are going to lead a trip in Rome, starting on Easter Monday, which is also going to put a damper on more recordings. So we're trying to get some recordings done, but then we're going to take a break for a while. And we got a comment looking forward to this one from MK Ultra Pangolin. We'll start as usual, Alexander. This time I know the answer because you surprised me before with the I'd never seen this before. I'm the one who's going to say that this time. I've never seen this before, but what were your first reactions, first thoughts?
Well, it was basically a carbon copy of the first one. I think that's what really stuck out to me is that for the most part, it was exactly the same film, exactly the same script, with a few deviations here and there. I think I was really caught off guard at the beginning with the common man and how this gentleman just shows up and he's breaking the fourth wall right off the bat and talking to us. And at first I was like, I don't really like this. I feel like I'm like, what is this? I think it was an interesting device throughout the movie, but it definitely caught me off guard when it started.
I actually really like the device. It made it feel much more like a play, which is originally obviously where the story comes from. It comes from a Robert Bolt
Mhm,
play. And what I liked was Matthew kept changing. So obviously, at one point, he was St. Thomas More's servant, but he was also the jailer. He was also the executioner. He
yeah.
was also the foreman of the jury. And I thought, obviously, I don't think they're being too clever here, but that there's an everyman there. That very famous line. He says, "I'm just a simple man trying to do my job for my family." And of course,
Mhm,
St. Thomas More is like, "What do you think I am?" You know.
yeah.
So I appreciated that aspect of it. Now I did tell the bishop that I agreed with him that clearly there's more piety shown by St. Thomas here. We see him
Mhm,
attending Vespers, for example.
mhm,
They're trying to rouse him because the king's coming. This is, where have you been? So I'm praying.
yeah.
What would you expect me to be doing? But the gap in acting quality between Paul Schofield and Charlton Heston is, I don't know, the difference between a Bentley and a Toyota Camry. Nothing wrong with the Toyota Camry. It's a perfectly good car, but it ain't no Bentley,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
just remembering the lines that were delivered by Paul Schofield and then putting them in I don't know why. I wonder if Heston was attracted to the role, but he was not. If Paul Schofield hadn't done it, maybe I think it would have been perfectly adequate. But the problem was Paul Schofield did do it. He won Best Actor for it,
Mhm,
and then we have a made-for-TV version.
yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't know what it is. I really didn't like his version of it, and I feel like Heston was he d- to me he didn't really look the part. And this is gonna sound odd to say, but he seemed a little bit too jovial at moments. Like he was very smiley, I felt, and there was just something about his face and everything. He didn't seem to have the gravitas that Schofield had. Um, and it kind of irked me a little bit, but I was trying to like be like, I don't want to judge him just on his appearance because he doesn't really live up to my idea of how maybe Thomas More should look. But yeah, I definitely a downgrade there. I think the upgrade was the Duke of Norfolk. I like the Duke of Norfolk better in this one. He
hmm.
seemed he seemed more I guess in the Schofield version he seemed kind of I don't want to say dim-witted, but just more of like a
Uh,
me
I was gonna
smash.
say he's more of a bro. He's more of a
Yeah,
bro in
yeah,
the Schofield.
yeah. So that was an upgrade, and then Richard Rich I think was a little bit more fleshed out in this
That
version.
is exactly the phrase I
I
would use.
appreciate it. He also had a little bit more of a creepy look. I felt like a little bit more rat-like look. His hair was kind of greasy looking and just
Hmm.
it's amazing that that guy made it all the way to Lord Chancellor. Here he was, you know, St. Thomas More holds out, "Be a teacher, man, be a teacher." And here he, through his cunning and through his treachery, he rises all the way to the top and dies in his bed, as we find out at the end of the
Right.
movie.
Well, and went to his particular judgment. So
Yeah.
he found out about the actions, what it means to perjure somebody, send them to death because of your testimony.
Mhm.
I think another downgrade, which I would never have expected, is from Sir John Gielgud, a Shakespearean trained, well
Mhm.
known actor, did such a poor job as uh, as Cardinal Wolsey. But I think
Mhm.
it's because the standard was set by Orson Welles. How are you going to compete with that Cardinal Wolsey? It was
Mhm.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And instead, we get Sir John Gielgud almost, I want to say, calling it in. It felt like one day of shooting, which probably it was,
Probably.
and he didn't really care. He just got he got dressed up. He threw off his lines. There didn't seem to be anything behind it. Whereas Wolsey Orson Welles' Wolsey completely inhabited that role. Not only in, you could say,
Yeah.
the Pudge,
Yeah.
but the Mo. You should have been a cleric like yourself, your grace. And Wells' slight upturn of the eyebrow, like, oh, are you talking to me?
Mhm.
And there was so much more of that high level of acting that we got from the Orson Welles character that
Indeed.
we didn't from Sir John Gielgud, of all people. Disappointing.
Mhm.
So, sort of fun trivia, you may not have seen this, but Vanessa Redgrave played Anne Boleyn in the 1966 version.
Did she?
Uncredited, because, well, she originally had auditioned for Margaret. She didn't get the part, but I think she was trying to help out a friend, so she ends up being the uncredited face on screen for Anne Boleyn. So she doesn't
Okay.
get credit, but she actually appeared in both ones. So she then
Fascinating.
obviously is Thomas More's wife in the 88
Mhm.
version. And I like her as Thomas More's wife more in the 88, Vanessa
Mhm.
Redgrave, than the woman who played it in
I agree.
66.
I
Not
agree.
because the woman who did it in 66 did a poor job, but Vanessa Redgrave killed it.
Oh,
There
yeah,
was so
definitely.
much more emotion and um, conviction, almost, you could say,
Mhm.
within Redgrave. And she was later in her career, so she could bring that gravitas of the older matron of the house.
Yeah.
But particularly the scene in the jail is where that distance is
Oh,
huge.
absolutely. Absolutely. It was night and day, I think, that scene and how it came across in the 1988 version.
I really also liked in this version that the king was present at the trial, hidden behind a curtain.
Yes, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. I thought that was a fascinating and just a very poignant moment to see him looking on. And I was thinking how, when you have someone that's conscience is obviously pricked by the sin that they have committed, the whole world is saying enough that it's okay, King Henry. And he has to be there to spying to see if St. Thomas More is going to finally give in and say, yeah, it's okay that you did that. And he gets disappointed by a saint.
Right. And how foolish to think that. Anyway, if
Hmm.
he did that, he would not be the man that you think he is.
Yeah.
That's the whole strange thing, is if he really did give in to you, you would instantly hate him. You would despise him, because
Hmm.
it would show that he really did just fold into you. That's the quote that is repeated by the same king here, which is, there are some people who follow me because I wear the crown. There are others like Cromwell who follow me because I'm a jackal. They're jackals and they're a lion, or they're a tiger or something.
Hmm.
And then there's you. And the idea of Henry needing to destroy somebody who opposed him. Cromwell in this version has a lot more lines, and he's able
Hmm.
to articulate a lot more of the king's thinking. And one of the things he
Hmm.
says is, the king can't stand the fact that this guy won't go along with him.
Hmm.
And we think about all the recusants, all the great Catholic saints in England who did not go along. It would have been very easy to go along. All your neighbors went along, all the bishops went along. And you yourself, you're going to get racked, you're going to get beheaded, you're going to get drawn and quartered and die in
Hmm.
the tower. That's not exciting.
Hmm.
And what did it take to stand against the king in an era where the king meant so much? I think that was really driven home to me here by the constant references to sign here, everyone's doing it. Why won't you come along? I think obviously that's there in the 66, but I just feel like there was more surface area in this
Hmm.
one, more conversations with Roper and his daughter. There just seemed to be more grappling with this question of everyone else is going along except you.
Hmm. I don't remember. I think it happened in the 66 version, but the the bishop in the jail cell talking to him and trying to, I think he tried to ease his conscience, like, like adjust it from a moral perspective. I thought was I paid note to it more in this one, but it was interesting to see how he's like, I'm the man of God here, it's okay to do this, it's what courage to stand up to the whole country like that, to the king, to the clergy, I mean, you wonder if he must have felt like, just on an island. Here I am doing this. Is it like, and maybe he did question, am I doing the right thing? Potentially, like, am I just imagining this perhaps? I don't know. Because when you're going against everybody, am I being prideful or not? But I think, he was very determined, and he knew from his upbringing that that was the right thing to do. And it's always so fascinating in this how he stuck to his guns around the legal side of it. The law can't touch me even if I'm silent. The law has to assume this. I'm not saying I don't agree with it. I'm not proclaiming I don't agree with it, but the law, he was very fine
I
tuned.
give the devil benefit of law for my own safety's sake,
Hmm.
right? That there are certain rules in place. Yeah, I really appreciated that the death scene here as well. I feel it was more fleshed out than the 66 version. You still see two aspects of St. Thomas on display here that we don't see in 66, but are true to life, which
Hmm.
is one, he tells the Anglican cleric to stay away, says,
Hmm.
pray, come no farther. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but don't worry, I'm not going to need you, bro, effectively.
Yeah.
Which is, we see that with the recusants. Margaret Clitheroe said the same thing to the Anglican clergyman who tried to accompany her. Says, "Listen, we're not in the same religion. Don't think that we're
Hmm.
praying for the same thing."
Hmm.
And then someone is helping him up the stairs. Says, "Well, if you could help me on the way up, don't worry, I'll help myself on the way down." That
Fine.
still has that sense of humor and forgiving his executioner. That was very much Thomas More from everything we've read and learned about him. And as we've noted, if this film is the only way that you've gotten to know St. Thomas More, it's a good start. It's not the beginning and the end. You really don't see his ascetical practices. You don't see his deep, profound prayer life,
Hmm.
but it's a start. And
Yeah.
hopefully then people can dig in. I put a link in the description of the last video, and I'll try to remember to do it here as well, of the John Bean novel
Hmm.
about St. Thomas More, which I think is great for kids, but maybe good for adults as well, if you'd like to give that a try. So, closing lightning round. Did
Hmm.
I would I recommend the film? If so, what would I say? I'll start this one. I respectfully disagree with the bishop that this is the better one, but I do take on board his comments that it showcases the inner life, the spiritual life of St. Thomas More a little bit more. 100% I agree.
Hmm.
But as far as the aesthetics of filmmaking and the pleasure of seeing great actors be who they are, there's no contest for me between this and the
Yeah.
1966.
No, I absolutely agree. Um, I would say if you've never seen either of them, try both of them and see for yourself the difference. It was a nice touch to see the little bit of ascetical life of St. Thomas More in this one, but acting, I mean, it goes all the way to the first one. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it won, I believe, 6 Academy Awards, just phenomenal acting. Um, just well worth the time spent, to watch it.
Yeah, and interesting enough, 10 days ago, Alexander hadn't seen either of these, and now he's
Yeah,
seen
I've
both.
seen two.
So you could do the same thing, and that's part of what we're trying to do here on Trad Reviews is Trad Reviews Live is to try to get people interested and engaged and seeing the Catholic point of view for everything. Spoiler alert: we will be talking about a very new movie, Project Hail Mary, and not just the movie but the book. So Alexander and I will talk about the book and the film next week. And then after that, we have one more that we're doing before the
We're
Easter
gonna
break.
do after the Easter break. We're gonna kick off the our return with the Song of Bernadette. I
Yes.
believe that's mid-April, mid to late April, when we get back from Rome.
So
Um,
the tease there is Alexander was able to say I've never seen that before, and people have known Song of Bernadette's been on my radar, but I've actually never seen Song of Bernadette. So that will be my chance to catch up with Alexander in the I've never actually seen that series. So that's what's coming up. But before that, this Saturday we will be covering the 1973 film Catholics, and that's widely available on YouTube. So if you haven't had a chance to see that, and we'll talk about that um, this Saturday.
Indeed.
Until next time, God bless you.
God bless you all.